Welcome back. Welcome back. This video is for anyone managing a customer success team, whether you're a director that's overseeing CSMs or an owner who has at least one person doing client facing work, right? So I'm going to show you how to use GoCSM data to build real accountability into your team rhythm. So let's dive right into it. This is what most team check-ins look like. How are your accounts doing? Oh, pretty good. I think most are fine. Is anybody at risk? Maybe one or two I need to check. So this conversation is super basic and it gives you nothing to act on. GoCSM changes this because now every conversation can start with a specific signal. So a director or level position or an owner can right away say, hey, you have 3 accounts or 5 accounts that are at risk. This one dropped by 25% or 20% in outbound messages or workflow executions. What's your plan for it? You can see this is a completely different conversation because it's specific, it's tied to data, and it creates a natural follow up for the following week. There are 3 types of rhythms where this can apply. Weekly one on ones between a manager or director or owner and each CSM, about 20 to 40 minutes per person. A weekly team sync where the entire customer success team looks at portfolio level patterns together, which can be, again, around 30 minutes, and a monthly review where you can zoom out to find patterns and trends and then look at adjustments about 45 minutes to an hour. Each of these rhythms is going to be pulling from different parts of GoCSM, and each one creates a different type of accountability. So let me walk you through all 3. The first one is pretty simple. This is the weekly one-on-one. And this is where most of the accountability is going to originate from. Before the meeting, a director level position should go to health, sub-accounts, filter to at risk, and then look at which accounts belong to the CSM that you're meeting with. Then note the MRR for each of the accounts, the trend of the health direction for each one, and the agenda is simple. You start by reviewing last week's account. Did the signals actually improve on that account? Number 2, walk through this week's at-risk accounts by MRR and look at it. Did the MRR improve? Were the failed payments resolved? Things like that. For each, you want to ask, what's your plan and what do you need from me? Just in case the CSM needs support. And you're using the data that's already in GoCSM to create an action plan for each account that's based on the red flags that you're seeing. And then number 4, clear action items with a 1-week check-in. So by next week, these action items should have been applied. They should have been crossed off the list. And then on the next meeting, you start off by checking to see if the results of the actions taken the previous week are there. So did the MRR improve? Were the failed payments resolved? Was the login activity issue resolved? Was the product adoption, workflow execution, for example, issue resolved? Next, you have the second rhythm, which is the weekly team sync. This one is about your portfolio as a whole. And this is where the team can learn from each other. So start with a portfolio pulse. Pull up health overview and show the room the agency health score and the band distribution between the different types. So thriving, healthy, watch, and at risk. And compare it to last week. So ask the whole team and yourself, is the portfolio getting healthier or are things slipping through the cracks? And then go to wins, cover all the wins and celebrate them. Which accounts that were at risk last week moved to steady or healthy? And whoever was the CSM that handled those accounts, ask them to share what they did. What was their method? What did they say? What was their process of getting those accounts to increase their health score? And if you find anything that's useful that you want to reuse, add it to the playbook, add it to the customer success playbook, because this way you can all learn from each other's wins. And then check for patterns, right? Are the same AI generated reasons or the same reasons, the same issues repeating across accounts that are owned by different CSMs? So, for example, if 3 or 5 or 10 accounts all have the same issue, then you have a systemic issue. You need to fix something in your process, and your whole team will actually benefit from solving this altogether instead of each CSM trying to handle it one on one, isolated. And then end with some shared learnings. What worked? What fell flat? What didn't work? What to try next? The next part is the third rhythm, the monthly review, where you zoom out from individual accounts and weekly patterns, and then you're trying to identify systemic issues as a whole. Pull up the 90-day health trend chart under health overview and check if it's trending up, if it's staying flat, or if it's declining. If your team has been doing weekly reviews and one on ones for a full month and the trend is still flatlining or declining, then the weekly actions, what your team is doing, is actually not enough or it's not working. So something in your customer success approach needs to change. You want to look at how many saves happened this month versus how many churns. Compare it to the previous month. And then ask yourself, are the weekly interventions, is the outreach actually translating into accounts moving out of the at risk category? And if accounts are sitting in at risk category for weeks upon weeks, despite active outreach, then your customer success playbook needs to be revised and updated. The big question you're answering here is, what is the process? Which parts of your process needs to actually change that's going to have the biggest impact on retention in the following 30 days? It could be anything. It could be adding training steps to your onboarding process. It could be adding additional knowledge base articles or videos or training videos or a mini course, or changing the timing of your first check in after a client goes live or after a client gets onboarded or after the kickoff call. Whatever it is, the 90-day trend is going to give you the scoreboard to measure whether or not your customer success approach is working. What makes this sticky? There's 3 principles. First, every meeting that you have should start by checking on the results from the action items that were assigned during the previous meeting. So check to see that the actions taken on those accounts actually move the needle. This habit is super, super important, because if you're not checking to see what's working and what's not working, you might be lost when you come to a point where the health keeps trending down. And despite massive efforts from your team, you're not able to resolve that. Second, name the accounts. So accountability lives at the account level. And this is where the CSM takes action. Work on retention, for example, is a very vague instruction. Save this account, XYZ account is much more specific. And when you know which account you're trying to save and which action item is tied to that saving effort, now the ownership is clear. Number 3, specific actions. So not just save this account, but also exactly what should the plan of action be there, whether it's to go inside of the account and modify anything inside of the workflows or the calendar or their landing page or whatever it is, or contact the client, get them on a call, or just give the client a phone call, ask them a couple of clarifying questions so that your team can go in and do the work, so that you avoid giving the client homework, which we all know is a retention killer. Whatever it is, make sure that the actions that you're taking are specific. All in all, GoCSM gives your team the signals, the red flags. Follow these 3 rhythms, and you'll be able to turn those signals into clean, pristine accountability. The weekly 101s are for account level ownership. The weekly team sync is for portfolio level patterns and shared learning. And then the monthly review is to identify systemic issues and check whether or not your process is actually working and decide what to adjust in your outreach and your customer success or in your plans and what you offer or your training or onboarding or whatever is needed. The data is already in GoCSM. The question that you need to answer is whether your team has the right pattern and rhythm to act on it consistently. I hope you found this useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.